Jermaine Matthews Jr. is proving he is going to be a key depth piece for the Buckeyes defense.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here on Tuesday, August 6th in the year 2024, I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like I want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. While the Buckeyes have completed 4 practices during fall camp, I started to think about the Buckeyes defense and putting more emphasis about guys that will play and who might be key backups for Ohio State this year. Yeah, we talked a lot about the quarterbacks and offensive line so far, but let's not forget about how good this defense should be in 2024. Got a lot of great starters out there, but there's also some guys that'll be key backups for the defense, and one of them is Jermaine Matthews Jr., and he is continuing to prove that he is going to be a key depth piece for the Buckeyes defense. For Matthews Jr., I have one thought in mind when I think about what he'll be this year, and it's something we saw last year. Jordan Hancock, who will start this year for Ohio State, started off the year last year as a backup. Denzel Burke and Nick Nosen were the outside corners for the Buckeyes, and then Sonny Styles was the starter at the nickel corner spot. Hancock came in sometimes in passing situations. Hancock would come in, Styles goes out. But as the season went on, what do we find from Jordan Hancock? He was so good in run and pass situations, it was very hard to keep him off the field. Now, I don't think Jermaine Matthews Jr. will jump Hancock in the defense in the depth chart this year to where Matthews Jr. will be starting or be playing more than Hancock. I don't think that's going to happen. But what we're going to find is Hancock last year could and did play outside corner as well. So it wasn't just he was good at inside corner. He was good at outside corner on both sides of the field. And that's the same thing Jermaine Matthews Jr. brings to the Buckeyes defense in a backup role. And we all know it's exactly what you need from a backup. You need a guy who is versatile. We talk about it all the time where, hey, you recruit guys and you know you're going to recruit guys that are a little versatile. Hey, if you're recruiting an offensive lineman, you may say, hey, you might be a center, you might be a guard, but you know you can play 3 positions, right guard, left guard, or center. You recruit a receiver. Yeah, you know you might be better as an outside receiver, but you can also play the slot. You want players that are versatile, which I think that's a big reason why Ohio State recruited Jermaine Matthews Jr. because of the versatility he brings to the Buckeyes defense. And Tim Walton, the corners coach at Ohio State, talked about him earlier this offseason. And when I was going back and thinking about some things that coaches have said about Matthews Jr. this offseason, I really liked what Tim Walton had to say about the sophomore corner for the Buckeyes. Quote, he's taken a great step forward. He's the next guy up, man. He's been extremely important in the growth of our secondary because now we've worked him inside some. He's played outside at both corner spots. He's got that it factor. You know what I mean? So we look at what he brings, the energy, the competitiveness. We've got to build off last year and expand the role for him, end quote. Think about, I believe it was the 2019 season. Shaun Wade was the nickel corner. You had Jeff Okudah on one side, and I forget who the Damon Arnett was the other corner on the other side. And you had Shaun Wade at the nickel corner, and everybody realized, hey, that's his spot. If he is going to go off to the NFL and to play corner, his spot is a nickel corner. Came back to Ohio State the very next season in 2020. Had a little wacky offseason. We all remember what happened during that year. But also, Shaun Wade went out to outside corner. And it didn't take long to realize he needed a whole lot more reps for that to be the move for him that year. Now, he only had one more year in the Buckeye uniform. That was it. Wasn't his best year at all for wearing the scarlet and gray. He was better suited at the nickel. But, hey, you come back, you go to the outside. Wasn't really your thing. But when you got a guy in year 2 and coaches say, hey, he's the next guy up, He's extremely important in the growth of our secondary because we've now worked him inside some and outside of both corner spots. That's the versatility. But then when you know what coach says, hey, oh boy, got the it factor. I remember when I was playing football, Drew Harmon was a starting quarterback at Belzer Middle School, 7th and 8th grade year. Then also most of the high school year, senior year, he transitioned to playing tight end, and we started a junior quarterback that year. But I remember coaches, Coach Feasel, my favorite coach that ever coached me at LC. Coach Feasel looked at Drew and said, hey, he got the it factor. He has it. And we were all like, hey, we all know Drew has it, but nobody tried to describe what it is. And if you tried to describe it, you might realize it's very hard to describe because when you look at it, when you see it, you know somebody has it. For example, LeBron James has it. I don't think you can say he does not have it when it comes to the it factor. Watch him play. It doesn't take very long watching LeBron James in the Olympics. And let's just say you're someone that's watching LeBron. You don't watch the NBA, but you watch the Olympics because you want to root for the US of A. And you watch LeBron James play basketball and you're like, oh, he's a little bit different than everybody else on the court. Or Kevin Durant. Homie didn't go through the offseason or the preseason and the ramp-up period for Team USA. He's not starting because of that period, but all of a sudden he's coming off the bench and hitting 8 straight shots and making everything look easy. Hey, he has it. Like, you know a guy has it when you see it. And when Tim Walton, who used to be a Buckeye player, he still has it in his blood. He knows what it's like to wear the scarlet and gray, to play inside Ohio Stadium. And when he says that, not only is his words weighted because he's the Buckeyes cornerback coach, but also it's weighted because he's been there. He's done that. And I do think Jermaine Matthews Jr. is going to really help the Buckeyes stay fresh on defense. Because we all know, unfortunately, the Buckeyes have been hit by the injury bug. It's not fun to talk about even TC Coffey, a walk-on running back. I think most schools wouldn't even think about talking about a walk-on running back. But a couple of years ago, we saw what this young man could do when you get him on the field, even though it was in mop-up duty. We saw glimpses and say, hey, if we work on this, if we continue to work on and build upon what he currently has, yeah, he might still be a walk-on just due to scholarship numbers, but he might be a big piece of the pie for us. And I do think on defense, let's just say the injury bug is not a thing. But you got Denzel Burke, you got Davidson Igbinosun, you got Jordan Hancock. Let's just say someone needs a little bit of a breather in a non-crucial point of the game. Jermaine Matthews Jr. can come in. Let's just say the Buckeyes are up early in the second quarter, and the Buckeyes want to get some of their starters out a little bit earlier. I know they're competitors, so they might try to still play on the field. Jermaine Matthews Jr. can come in and be that guy. Yes, he could go other places in the country and start. And there's numerous guys on Ohio State's team that are currently backups, but could go almost anywhere in the country and start. That's Jermaine Matthews Jr. He's proving he's going to be a key depth piece for the Buckeyes defense, and his versatility is huge. Will be pivotal for the Buckeyes defense, even in a backup role in 2024. One thing we have seen in the NBA recently is patches on jerseys. It's a great way to market it for teams to make more money, and that might be something we see at Ohio State soon. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On College Football Podcast. Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron with discussion on the upcoming season and the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, new college football expanded playoffs, and more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Patches on jerseys is something that is going to be coming to Ohio State and other places around the country very, very soon. I know you might be a person that was like me. I was like this a while ago that says, no, there's no reason to put an AT&T symbol or to put a Verizon symbol or to put X, Y, or Z company symbol on the jersey. Keep it away. The Nike, the Big Ten, the Rose Bowl patch, those things are okay, but don't put no company sign on the jersey. We don't want to mess up. Look, I had that same mindset for a long period of time. And as Ross Bjork recently had an interview with On3 and talked about this very thing, I kind of agree with him. Like, I understand. This is a new way, a new age, a new time, and especially with schools paying players soon, if a school can make it with some more money, why not make that move? And Ross Bjork made this comment and talked about the even the naming rights of the stadium, talking about the field having a name with Safe Light, but also talking about, hey, things might come to the naming rights of the stadium soon. I know a lot of people will say no and push back on it, but y'all, what he has to say makes a lot of sense. Quote, so Safe Light is exclusive for the field name. So it's the field name. But in and around the perimeter of the stadium, adjacencies to the field, things like that, I've been saying, look, we have to put everything on the table. Naming rights of the stadium, the jersey patch is a conversation. We have to work with our partner Nike in that conversation. If we're breaking glass right now and we're going to put the window back, let's get it all on the table so we can put the window back in the right position. Everything has to be on the table right now to analyze. That doesn't mean we're going to do it. It just means let's at least answer the question. Here's the value. Is this the right thing to do? Yes or no? If it's not, okay, fine. If it is, how do we pursue it, or how does it fit in? End quote. I mean, I don't disagree with a lot of things he said. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. This is the age in which we're in right now in collegiate athletics. And for Ross Bjork to come in this time period at Ohio State, after a legend in the game in Gene Smith, and you're coming in with your new ideas and different things, maybe that have been conversations previously, but they were just conversations. They were tabled. They didn't go back to them. I think it's very important that he is not wasting any time making an impact at Ohio State in areas that he realistically sees, hey, this can actually happen. I remember when the NBA started talking about the patch on the jersey, and I was like, man, look, why? Don't nobody want to see no rally symbol on a jersey. Nobody wants to see a Motorola patch on a Pacers jersey. Nobody wants to see an Uber patch or a Microsoft patch. I don't even know if all these are actually patches on jerseys. Nobody wants to see X, Y, or Z. But what do you find? You're seeing them. Now, at first, originally, it was a little bit uneasy for some people, and you're kind of some people may be a get off my lawn type of person, which I understand. I have been there myself. I don't knock it at times people having that mindset, but people were saying, hey, look, we don't want to do this. We don't want to have all this stuff here. But a few years in, it's almost like the Nike symbol, the Nike swoosh that's on jerseys, or used to be announced, the Jordan Jumpman symbol. It just blends in. It's not a big deal. Many of you right now are people like me that have watched more WNBA games. Maybe some of you are soccer fans. What do you find with these sports? They have business names on the jerseys. I think the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark, I think they have 3 businesses, maybe 4 on the jerseys. And what do you find there? If you're Salesforce, you're a massive, lucrative company. But what do you find? If you see Salesforce on the jersey, they're paying a massive amount of money to have their name on the jersey in the location that it is. What does that mean? More money for the team. Now, unlike Ohio State, the WNBA is only staying alive right now because of the NBA. So if they can find ways, the WNBA, to make more money for the league, maybe it could be a self-sustaining, self-standing league and not need the NBA to hold it up. I don't actually know. But y'all, this is something that actually I'm kind of surprised it's taken this long. Now, I say that knowing that college football has a lot of fans that have been doing this for decades, 70, 80 years old, some are even 40 years old and aren't really comfortable with some of the things sports teams are doing to make some more money. In regards to Ohio Stadium, I mean, is it really the end of the world if a local business or someone pays millions or maybe billions of dollars to put their name, to have the naming rights of Ohio Stadium? Is it really the end of the world? No. I mean, many people were probably like me when you heard that the name of the field was going to be Safe Flight Field. The Safe Flight was going to pay to have their name on the field. Some of you may have been like, is this really the right move? Am I cool with it? It don't make no sense. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't make any sense to not, to be okay with it. Because you see Safe Flight Field on the field, sometimes it just blends in. You don't really see too much of it. In the NBA, I want to use a lot of that for the conversation to go back and forth here, because the NBA has been doing this. I think when it comes to professional sports leagues, of the four major sports, they're the ones that are kind of pushing this envelope a little bit more than others. In the NBA, YouTube TV is going to sponsor or is going to be the presenting sponsor for the NBA Finals. They might be a presenting sponsor for the conference finals, the East and West conferences in the NBA. You now know also they can put logos on the court via virtually on the court that you just realize, hey, you think, hey, it's there on the court. It's not virtual. It may be just virtual, not actually paying on the court, but that's okay. These are all things that are okay. Yeah, it looked a little weird at first, and you heard that the NBA was going to put logos on the court in certain areas virtually to kind of, make some more money. But when you actually see it in practice, it's not that big of a deal. And I do like that Ross Bjork and Ohio State are working with Nike, who is the athletic sponsor, apparel sponsor of Ohio State athletics. Ohio State has 36 varsity sports, and I do believe that right now, with the way things are going in collegiate athletics, the Ross Bjork realizes Ohio State needs to go to these links, needs to go this far, needs to go and push a little bit more to make some more money to keep all of those sports intact. One of the things I did not like in 2020, I didn't like in 2021 for a little bit, was hearing, hey, this school has to cut 5 sports. This school may have to cut 10 sports. This school has to cut a sport that they've been very, very successful in, but due to the financial situation of the school, we got to cut that sport. I didn't like that at all, because I'm a person, hey, if there's a school out here that provides something for someone, what is it doing? It's providing an opportunity. And even if the opportunity is just something that they do for 4, maybe 5 years in college, those are memories that they're going to have for a lifetime. And also, those are friendships they're going to have for a lifetime. Also, those are lessons that they'll learn about themselves and lessons they'll learn that they'll keep moving forward in life. And so if this is what Ross Bjork believes he has to do, not only for the football program to make some more money, it makes sense, but also for the athletic department as a whole that he is leading right now, I'm behind him. I'm supporting him. And I love the idea that Ross Bjork has brought to Ohio State, or maybe it was there before. He's just acting upon it, and he's not wasting any time. Go up there, get them naming rights to the Ohio Stadium. I know it'll shake up some fans, but y'all, it's okay. Also, what will shake up some fans is what Jim Harbaugh had to say in regards to the sign stealing scandal at Michigan. We'll dive into it next. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Thank you all for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. There was a stir and a buzz going around the country when it was reported that Michigan and the notice of allegations, the draft that ESPN obtained, everyone was like, they did what? He deleted how many texts between him and Stallions? They scouted how many games? How did old boy get approved to be on the bench for a Central Michigan game? These are all things that people were trying to figure out. Jim Harbaugh is not in Ann Arbor anymore. He is now the head coach of the Chargers in the National Football League. But Jim Harbaugh spoke on this recently, and I think when you hear what he has to say, knowing that Jim Harbaugh, there's no record that he knew about what was going on, he was just not compliant in the investigation, which is how he is now wrapped into the notice of allegations too. I think that Jim Harbaugh and what he had to say, some of you might agree. Also, some of y'all might disagree what the former Wolverines coach had to say about this very topic. Here it is, quote, "Never lie, never cheat, never steal." I was raised with that lesson. I have raised my family on that lesson. I have preached that lesson to the teams I've coached. No one's perfect. If you stumble, you apologize and make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware, nor complicit in those said allegations. So it's back to work in attacking with enthusiasm, unknown to mankind, end quote. I kind of think Harbaugh might be onto something. Because I'm not going to sit up here and say he knew or he did not know, but I will say this. No matter if he knew or if he didn't know, you're the head coach. And if a guy on your staff that's doing this for multiple years is all of a sudden doing things that may be out of character and is in spots on the sidelines that is a little bit different, you may see him, you may point him out, you may try to figure out, like, what are you doing? But all of a sudden, you're responsible. Do I agree? Do I fully all the time agree that the head coach is responsible for everything that happens? No. But when it comes to the coaching and the scheme and the cheating and things like that, even if he does not know what happens, I can't say if he did know or he didn't know, but all I have is his word right now, and I think it kind of makes sense. Harbaugh didn't comply. No one ever said Harbaugh knew. A 3-year span. Now, it's hard to believe he did not know, but he has been true to his word. He has not changed it, and so be it. Now, we also know this. People lie. People cheat. People steal. So the same 3 things that Harbaugh said, never lie, never cheat, never steal, those are also things people do every day. People lie every day. People cheat every day. People steal every day. So it's for me trying to really just trying to take it in for granted, take it in for what it is, and really trying to give him maybe the benefit of the doubt, maybe try to be a nice guy. Reality is he may be lying. He may be cheating, or he may have cheated. And I don't know if he stole or not. I'm not trying to dive into that. But the first 2, he may be lying and he may have cheated. We know Michigan cheated. And if Michigan cheated, Harbaugh's wrapped into that, regardless of if he knew about it or not. But also in regards to this whole sign stealing, and I've been on the record, not going to shy away from it. I think the NCAA should bring down the hammer on Michigan. Now, I'm not saying bring down the hammer on all the individuals. We'll dive into that here in a second. But I'm not shying away from, hey, bring down the hammer. You cannot cheat, especially in this way. You can't do it. And if the NCAA finds out you're cheating and they do the investigation and it's as extensive as it is, and you're somehow finding out ways to get on the sidelines of a Central Michigan game, and the NCAA may be like, how was that our problem? He found a way to weasel his way in there to be on the sidelines. Now, what he did on the sidelines might be illegal, but if he found a way to weasel his way out there, the NCAA may say, well, how was that our fault? Now, also, it might not be your fault, maybe on the school, but they also did some things that were really, 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 really shady. Pete Thamel, senior college football writer for ESPN, the worldwide leader, was recently on Get Up, and he talked about the sign stealing, talked about Sharon Moore and the possible suspension he might face and the length of the suspension. And there's a good chance some of y'all might not like the length of the suspension that Sharon Moore might get. Quote, I would think Sharon Moore faces a short suspension. If you look at the history of this stuff at the maximum, to go through a sort of the matrix of what could happen to Michigan in this, I don't think they're going to have any postseason ban. I don't think, looking at the history and looking at past precedent in this, there's going to be any retroactive anything to what they've already won and accomplished. Their accomplishments are safe, end quote. And I slowed down there on the end kind of put some emphasis on the final words of his statement from the quote. And there's more there. You can go and watch. I'm sure you can watch the full clip of the Get Up segment that he was on there on the YouTube. And I don't agree that actually happened. I appreciate the reporting and what he's done. And Pete Thamel, one of the best college football reporters in the country, has been for a very long time. I listened to numerous podcasts that he's been on, and he's really good behind the mic as well. Pete Thamel, great reporting. You can only report the facts. The facts are the facts, and I don't like the facts at all. I don't agree with the facts at all. How in the world could this happen and their accomplishments be intact when there is concrete data that multiple coaches, 7 coaches in violation, they scouted 58 games, even the deleted text, the 52 texts that were deleted between Sharon Moore and Connor Stallions, that's not as deep to me as the scouting. Now, deleting evidence is horrible. It's trash. But 58 games, 7 coaches in violation, several removed hard drives, and then Stallions being on the sidelines for Central Michigan. I think all that is really, really harsh, really, really bad. Yeah, the NCAA is trying to save their own face and save how people view them. But if you want to kind of help people the way that they view you, make sure that you bring down the hammer. But for Sharon Moore, I kind of think the short suspension is actually going to happen, and I really agree with it. I have a hard time thinking a short suspension, like a season-long suspension for this, is actually that he deserves it. Now, you may say, Jay, why are you being so nice to Michigan coaches? I just want to really acknowledge the fact of the way that I truly believe. I said this once. I'll say it again in regards to the Buckeyes and the Wolverines playing over the past 3 years. Cheating or not, Michigan outplayed Ohio State in the past 3 games, 2021, 2022, 2023. Now, last year's game was a whole lot closer, but there were even times when you watch the game saying, Ohio State can win this game, but Michigan's outplaying Ohio State at this point in time. And so I do think, cheating or not, Michigan probably would have won the past 3 games regardless of if they cheated, because they had like last year, that may be a toss-up game, just to be honest with you. Like, I do think Ohio State wins some if they played 10 times. I think Ohio State wins, Michigan wins. Realistically, it could be 6-4 Ohio State. I'm not trying to be funny or sarcastic now. I really, truly think it could be 6-4 Ohio State, or it could be the other way around where Michigan won 6. That's how even and close those two teams are. But you got a hard time trying to prove to me and show me that in 2021 and 2022 that Ohio State outplayed Michigan. Yeah, they cheated, but that Ohio State outplayed Michigan? I don't think that's actually the case. I appreciate everyone for making Locked On Buckeyes their first listen of the day. Now go check out the Locked On College Football podcast. From NIL deals to never-ending conference realignment rumors, Spencer McLaughlin gets you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron. You can find the link to Locked On College Football in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on X at jstevens07, send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're out of here, Buckeye fans, on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.